Hi, this is King of Review. The graph of a quadratic function y equals 4x squared is translated to the right by 2 units. Find the equation of the graph after the translation. So we have our parent graph here, y equals 4x squared, and this graph will be translated to the right by 2 units. This represents a horizontal translation because it's moving to the right by 2 units. So a good way to work this problem is to graph the parent function and then graph the translated function. So we want to graph the parent function, which is y equals 4x squared. This will produce a parabola. A parabola looks like this, and it has something called an axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is the vertical line passing through the turning point of the parabola. It also has something on it called a vertex, which is this point here. You can see that the axis of symmetry passes through this vertex. A good way to plot a parabola is to plot the vertex point plus a couple of points on either side of the vertex. This helps you to draw in the parabola. So let's do that. Let's make a table of values so that we can plot our parabola. I'm going to choose x values of 0, 1, and -1. You can choose any x values that you want and then solve for the y coordinate. I chose 0, 1, and -1 because these are near the vertex and it includes the vertex. This will help me to draw the parabola. So what we'll do now is plug in each of these x values into our parent equation here and solve for the y coordinate. So we're plugging the x value into y equals 4x squared. When x is equal to 0, we have 4 times 0 squared. This equals 0. So the point 0, 0 is on our graph. When x equals 1, we have 4 times 1 squared. This equals 4. So the point 1, 4 is on our graph. And when x equals -1, we have the point 4 times -1 squared, which gives us the point -1, 4. So now we can plot this. If I have my x-axis here, and here's my y-axis, so we have the point 0, 0. That's right here. This is our vertex. We have the point 1, 4, which is right here. And we have the point -1, 4, which is right here. So now I'll use these points to fill in my parabola. So this is the parent graph of y equals 4x squared. Now this parent graph, we're told it's translated to the right by 2 units. So let's figure out what the new coordinates are of these points when our graph is translated to the right by 2 units. So when we translate a point to the right, the x value will change because it's moving in this direction. The y value stays the same because it's not moving up or down. It's just moving to the side. And specifically, it's moving to the right. Therefore, we know our x coordinate is going to change. It's going to be adding a 2 to our x coordinate. So since the y's stay the same because our points are not moving up or down, we'll fill these in. They're the same y coordinates as on our parent table of values here. But since we're translating to the right by 2 units, we're going to add a 2 to each of our x-coordinates. So for this point here, our x-coordinate was 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. For this point here, our x-coordinate was 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. And for this point here, our x-coordinate was negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So we have a new set of points here. This is our translated function here. So let's plot these points. And I'll plot these ones in red so we can see the difference. Our first point is at 2, 0. That's right here. Our next point is at 3, 4, which is right here. And we have a point at 1, 4, which is right here. So now I'll use these points to fill in this translated function. So we have our translated function in red and our parent function in black. We have the format y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. This is the equation for a parabola. And when you have a parabola that has an equation in this format, we know that the vertex is at the point hk. So we have our h here and our k here. H represents the x-coordinate, so this is our x-coordinate, and k represents our y-coordinate. K is the y-coordinate here. So what did we translate? We translated the parent graph, y equals 4x squared, to the right by 2 units. So it increased the x-coordinate by 2. Again, our x-coordinate is the h value. So let's take a look at the parent graph. Y equals 4x squared. So if we were to translate this by 2 units to the right, we're going to add 2 to this h value. Since our parent graph, we could write it like this: x minus 0 squared plus 0. Because the vertex of our parent graph was at 0, 0. So the h value was 0 and the k value was 0. But our new vertex in our translated function is 2, 0. So you can see that we increased the x-coordinate by 2, which will be right here. So let's rewrite this. Y equals 4 times x minus 2, because we increased this 0 by 2, squared. So we have y equals 4 times x minus 2 squared. And this is the equation of our translated function. So letter C is correct. Thanks for watching.